welcome back to Writer's Block. Today's video is about anticipated books coming out for the second half of the year. I thought I'd make this video because there is a new book coming out today by a Māori author that's focusing on Māori mythology and culture. So that book is Falling into Rarohenga by Steph Matuku. It is a YA fantasy book about two teenage twins who come home one day to find that their mother is missing. And there is this swirling vortex in her bedroom, and they get dragged down into this vortex, and they get dragged down into Rarohenga, which is, in Māori mythology and legend, is their version of the underworld and hell. So they have to go on a mission, trespassing through this dangerous landscape, trying to save their mother. And while they're down there, they find out that their estranged father is the reason that she's been kidnapped, and they have to save her mother from him, and save her mother from the goddess of shadows who rules Rarohenga. And if they fail, all three of them are going to be trapped in Rarohenga for the rest of eternity. So the second book is Into the Watchful City by S. Lu. This book comes out on August the 31st. So this is a queer sci-fi fantasy novella in which in the city of Aura there is a complex system called the Gleaming, which surveils all of the inhabitants of the cities to maintain harmony and peace. And our protagonist, Anima, is one of the people with extraordinary senses who is tasked with monitoring the Gleaming. Anima has always taken pride in her role to help look after the city and also in the city itself. So when a stranger arrives into the city carrying a bunch of curiosities from around the world with strange stories attached to them, she starts to question and wonder what the world is like beyond the city walls, and realizes things that exist that she never thought possible. And she starts to question the morality of the Gleaming and the city of Aura, and if it is really working to keep the peace or if it's actually just oppressing the people. The next book is No Gods, No Monsters by Cadwell Turnbull. This book comes out on the 7th of September. So one morning our protagonist Lena finds that her brother has been shot by cops, and what originally looks like a case of a police brutality ends up becoming something much stranger, as she realizes that monsters are real and that they are now coming out of the shadows and want everyone to know that they exist. So as the world kind of falls into turmoil of figuring out what to do with these monsters that have of legend and myth that have been known to be extremely brutal and killing people all the time, how they fit into society, if they should accept them or not. There's people on both sides who are pro-monsters and people who are anti-monsters. So she wants to find out why now, why do the monsters want the safety or visibility now? What has frightened them to come out of the shadows and the dark? The next book is the 6th volume of Monstrous by Māori. So this book is inspired by 19th century Asia, follows our protagonist Micah Half-Wolf as she sets to bring down the oppressors of her world, in which there's humans, there's the ancients who are kind of magical half-beasts, and there's people who are hybrids between the two. The humans view the hybrids and the ancients as monsters and try to kill them and oppress them. There's a war going on against them, and so Half-Wolf is trying to save her people and stop this from happening. At the same time, she is possessed by a demonic god. So this is the 6th volume in the series. I'm not sure how many volumes there's going to be in total. Hopefully not 6, because I'm afraid up to volume 4, the series very much cannot be wrapped up in just 2 more books. The next book is The Moon and the Stars and Madame Boruva by Ruth Hogan. It is out on the 21st of September. So like most of Ruth's books, it follows 2 different stories. One of Imelda Borova, a retiring fortune teller, who now that she's retiring has the time to go and fulfill a promise she made decades ago. The other timeline is back decades ago and follows Billy as she's just lost her job and her marriage. She makes an unlikely discovery that makes her question who she actually is and what her heritage is, so she seeks out a local fortune teller to help her find the answers. So like all of Ruth's books, probably is going to be magical realism. So probably the fortune telling is going to be true, and it's also likely to be quite sad and emotional with the deaths of like family members and stuff being involved in the secrets and answers that are being discovered. Annoyingly, the cover isn't going to match the rest of her books, because so far all the covers for her books have matched, but this one they're going completely different. The next book is Iron Widow by Ziranjay Zhao, and is out on the 21st of September. So this one is a bit of a retelling of some Chinese history mixed in with Pacific Rim. So in this world, boys and girls are paired up to control these giant robots to help fight aliens that are on the other side of the Great Wall. However, during these fights, the girls pretty much always end up dying due to the mental strain and exhaustion of it, and it's never really discovered as to why the girls die but the boys survive. And so then an 18-year-old girl, Zetian, offers herself up to be a pilot so that she can assassinate her male pilot to avenge her sister's death. But when she's in battle with him, something unexpected happens and she ends up killing him through a psychic link that no one thought was possible. And so she ends up surviving the battle, but he dies. And she is labelled the Iron Widow, a much feared and much silent female pilot who's sacrificed her male pilots in order to win. In order to get a leash on her powers, the people in control team her up with Li Shimin, the strongest and most controversial male pilot in their team. But now that Zetian has discovered what she's capable, she's not going to bow down to anyone anytime soon. Especially until she finds out why the female pilots are dying and why the government and whatnot don't give a shit. And so she can stop the girls from being sacrificed and killed. The next book is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson, and this comes out on the 5th of October. So this, as with her other books, is a YA fantasy. So our protagonist Artemisia is training to be a Grey Sister, cleanses the dead so that their spirits don't come back to haunt people. But when her convent is attacked by possessed soldiers, Artemisia defends herself by awakening an ancient spirit that is bound to a saint's relic. It is a revenant, a malevolent being that threatens to possess her anytime she drops her guard. But she can't give up the power just yet, as her town is ravaged by these evil spirits. And only a Vespertine, a priestess who wields a high relic, has any chance of stopping it. But with all the knowledge of Vespertine's lost to age, the only person Artemisia can turn to is the revenant that is possessing her. The next book is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen, which comes out on the 5th of October. It is a retelling of Goose Girl and follows Vanya Smith, the adopted goddaughter of Death and Fortune. She was once the Princess Giselle's faithful servant, until her otherworldly mothers demand a terrible price for looking after Vanya, so Vanya decides to steal her future back by impersonating the princess in order to escape. In order to keep up this ruse, Vanya has to keep wearing magical jewellery to trick people into thinking she is actually the princess. Now leads a double life of being the princess but also as a jewel thief, and has to constantly run heists to get more magical and expensive jewellery to stop her being found by her mothers. But when she accidentally crosses an angry god, they place a curse on her that for every jewel she's stolen she will turn into a jewel, and so she has just weeks away to figure out how to break her curse and save her life. The next book is All of Us Villains by Amanda Fooley and Christine Lynn Herman. It comes out on the 9th of November. A lot of people have been comparing it to The Hunger Games, and you'll see why. After a tell-all salacious book becomes a bestseller, a remote town falls into the spotlight with journalists and news reporters and tourists flocking to this little village to find out if what was told in the book was true or not. Because in the book it tells of an ancient curse that causes every generation, the 7 families that live in the village, have to name a champion and they must compete to the death. Whoever wins the tournament, their family then controls all of the magic for the town for the rest of their generation. So far, the Lowe's family have won every single tournament, and they're all set up for their champion to win the next tournament. But because now the rest of the world knows about what's going on here, each of those other families now have resources and whatnot that they didn't previously have thanks to bans and tourists. So now the Lowe's family are at serious risk of losing their power. This is a first book in a series. It doesn't say how many books there's going to be in the series. Oh wait, no, sorry, it's a duology. The next book is coming out next year. The last book is The Eldorose by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This comes out on the 16th of November. It's only a novella. So this story follows an anthropologist who lives on a distant planet, who must help the locals he's been sent to study save their planet from an unbeatable foe. Lenise is the lowly 4th daughter of the Queen, but now that she's an adult, she understands that the only way to save her people is to invoke a pact between her family and an elder sorcerer who inhabits the local tower, but no one has seen for generations. But the elder turns out not to be a sorcerer, and he's forbidden from helping them because he secretly knows what's behind this evil, threatening foe and knows it's not actually a demon. So this book starts out as kind of fantasy, and then progresses to becoming more of a science fiction space opera. So that is all the books that I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year. When they're published, if you want to check them out, you can follow the link in the description to Books Depository, and we will get a 5% commission for every sale. Also in the description you'll find a link to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our website. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week with a video from Chris.